You don't wake up one day and realize your wife doesn't love you anymore. It's slower, quieter, like a radio that fades until there's only static. I'm 42, just an average guy with a good job, two kids, and a mortgage I was proud to be chipping away at. I worked as a technical supervisor at a local manufacturing plant in Ohio. Nothing flashy, long hours, rotating shifts, and more spreadsheets than I care to admit. I wore steel-toed boots and a worn-out Carhartt jacket, and I came home tired. But I was always home. My wife Rachel was 40, high school sweetheart. We met in sophomore year English class. I helped her write a paper on Of Mice and Men. She said I was sweet in a quiet way. That stuck. We got married at 24, bought our first house at 27, had two kids by 32, Emma and Tyler. Life felt real, tangible, like we were building something together. But then, the quiet started. It wasn't sudden. At first, it was just the way she'd say, "Good night," without looking up from her phone, or how she stopped waiting up for me when I got off the late shift. The conversations grew shorter. Dinners turned into microwave leftovers with a note on the counter. "There's chicken in the fridge. Kids already ate. I'm tired." I told myself it was normal. Married life has seasons. We were just in a dry one. I tried to rekindle things. Little gestures. Bought flowers, booked a weekend cabin trip in Hocking Hills, even cooked dinner myself once, which I never do. I overcooked the pasta and the kids laughed, but Rachel barely looked up from her wine glass. "Thanks," she said. That was it. One night I came home earlier than usual. My shift got cut short due to a machine breakdown. I parked the car quietly, hoping to surprise them, maybe catch Rachel watching a movie with the kids. But when I opened the door, the house was dark. No sounds, just the dishwasher humming in the kitchen. I walked upstairs. Emma's door closed, Tyler's light off. And then I saw Rachel in the guest room, lying on the bed in her robe, legs crossed, holding her phone inches from her face, smiling. Not just scrolling, smiling. That kind of smile I hadn't seen on her in a long time. She didn't even hear me walk in. "Who you texting?" I asked casually. She flinched, then locked her screen fast. "No one. Just a meme. Thought it was funny." I didn't press, but my stomach twisted in a way I hadn't felt since I was 16, and caught my first girlfriend flirting with another guy behind the gym. The next few weeks, I couldn't shake the feeling. Rachel got more distant. She started going out more. Girls' night, yoga, book club. But she never talked about what book they were reading. She started dressing up again, not in a flashy way, but thoughtful, like someone was watching. And when I tried to touch her, just a hand on the waist in the kitchen or a kiss on the neck while she was getting ready, she tensed. "Don't, babe, I'm sweaty." "Not now, I have a headache." "You always want something when I'm busy." The worst part? She stopped saying "I love you." I'd say it before bed, out of habit. "Love you." Night. No echo, no return, just silence. I kept telling myself it was in my head, that I was tired, paranoid, that maybe I'd just lost her attention. But the truth? The truth was, I was already watching my marriage die. I just didn't know she'd already let someone else in. People don't always cheat out of lust. Sometimes they just want someone who makes them feel new again. The signs got louder. It started small, things you wouldn't normally notice unless you were already suspicious. First, her phone now had a password. Rachel had never been private with her phone. She used to leave it on the kitchen counter, on the couch, in the bathroom, wide open. But suddenly there was a passcode. "New password?" I asked one night, casually. "Oh yeah, just work stuff. Someone tried hacking my email, so I locked it up." She said it like it was nothing. And maybe it was. But my gut said otherwise. Then came the bank statements. I was always the one managing our finances. It was a habit more than anything. But this time I noticed something off. $73.49. Marriott Hotel. Thursday, 2:17 p.m., $46.90. Uber, $12.75. Starbucks in a town 30 minutes away. I knew for a fact Rachel told me she was at book club that day. "You go to the Marriott for book club now?" I asked, half joking. "Oh, we just popped in for coffee in the lobby. Tina had something to show me on her iPad. Better Wi-Fi." Coffee at a Marriott for nearly $75. Later that week, she left her phone charging in the bedroom while she showered. I didn't touch it, I swear. But the screen lit up with a notification I couldn't ignore. Can't stop thinking about the other night. The sender? Zed's Auto. Who the hell was Zed? I Googled it. Took me 20 seconds. Zed's Auto wasn't a business. It was a Facebook username. Trevor, her ex. The same Trevor she dated in high school. The same one she said messed her up for years. The same one who, according to her, was a mistake she'd never repeat. Well, apparently mistakes feel nostalgic after 18 years of marriage. I didn't explode, didn't scream. I just started watching. That night while she slept, I ordered 2 small security cameras online. One I installed in the living room, angled just enough to catch the front door and most of the open floor plan. The second, in the garage, pointed at the side entrance. Both discreet, neither visible unless you were really looking. Rachel never noticed, and then the kids started noticing. Emma asked one evening, "Why does Mom always smile at her phone but never at us?" Tyler once said, "I saw Mom go inside with a man in a leather jacket when you were at work." A man in a leather jacket. Trevor wore one back in high school. He always thought he looked cool in it. Same damn jacket. So I watched. That Friday, at exactly 2:08 p.m., the footage showed Rachel coming through the front door, wearing that cream-colored blouse she said was just for interviews. And right behind her, him, Trevor, still tall, still smug, still walking like the world owed him something. Rachel took his hand, her wedding ring hand, and led him into our kitchen like she had done with me 100 times before. I felt sick. It wasn't a rumor. It wasn't a suspicion. It was real, in my house, while I was paying the bills, raising our kids, working overtime. And now I had proof. It wasn't about revenge. It was about truth. I just wanted to see how far she'd go before the mask slipped. The footage haunted me. I must have watched that 90-second clip a dozen times. Rachel opening the door, letting Trevor in. Their casual comfort like this had become routine. It wasn't some spontaneous lapse. This was planned, rehearsed, familiar. They knew what they were doing. They knew where to stand, which camera angles were safe. They knew how long they had before school pickup. And worst of all, they knew I'd be at work. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in the garage in the cold, staring at the paused frame of Trevor's smug face on my laptop. The timestamp read 2:09 p.m., just as she smiled at him. Not the fake smile she gave me lately, the warm one I hadn't seen in years. That smile used to be mine. The next day I started planning. I wasn't going to confront her screaming like some Lifetime movie husband. No, I needed something she couldn't talk her way out of. No excuses, no lies, just truth, raw and unforgiving. So I upgraded my system, 2 more cameras. One hidden in the vent of our bedroom. Another, embedded behind a picture frame in the hallway, angled toward the stairs. High resolution, motion-activated audio. No blinking lights. Then I bought a second phone. Untraceable, cash paid, just for monitoring footage. The wait was excruciating. For days, nothing happened. Rachel was colder, yes. More distracted. Always running late or meeting Tina. But Trevor didn't come back. I started to think maybe they got scared. Maybe she knew. But then, Thursday again. 2:14 p.m. Front door opens. Rachel enters. Alone. She goes into the bedroom. 7 minutes later, Trevor walks in through the garage. No hesitation. No sneaking. They did this before. They met in the bedroom. She didn't even lock the door. The hallway camera caught her pulling him in by the collar. No words, just hunger. Like they were entitled to this moment. My stomach turned, but I kept watching. They didn't even close the blinds. In our bedroom. On our bed. The one we bought together. Where my son used to crawl in during thunderstorms. Where we used to talk about baby names, finances, future vacations. Now it was being used like a cheap motel room. It wasn't just the act. It was the casual cruelty. Trevor tossed his jacket on top of a framed photo, the one of our last family Christmas. Rachel laughed at something he whispered. That laugh. God, I hadn't heard it in 2 years. And when it was over, she fixed her hair in my bathroom mirror, humming to herself, like nothing happened. That night, I didn't say a word. I made dinner, helped Tyler with math homework, asked Emma how soccer practice went. Rachel sat across the table like nothing was wrong, like she hadn't betrayed every promise we'd ever made. I smiled, I nodded, and I planned. I booked a weekend business trip, faked an out-of-town conference, told Rachel I'd be gone Friday through Sunday. She barely blinked. All right, I'll take the kids to my sister's. They'll have fun. A plan. Already ready. Perfect. Friday morning, I kissed her goodbye like always. Then I drove around the block, parked behind a grocery store, and walked home through the alley. At 2:06 p.m., I was in the crawl space above our bedroom. Live feed on my phone, headphones in, and voice recorder rolling. They didn't disappoint. He's gone? Trevor asked, dropping his jacket again. Whole weekend, she whispered. We've got time this time. I hit record. And when the sound started, I didn't cry. I didn't shake. I just listened and waited because I knew the moment was coming. The moment they'd be caught, not just on camera, but in their lies, their comfort, their twisted version of love. There's a particular silence in betrayal. Not rage, not violence. Just the weight of someone looking you in the eye and showing you what you really are. I waited until they left. They didn't rush. They never did. Rachel laid on the bed for a while after he left, scrolling her phone, legs tangled in the sheets. The same sheets we got for our anniversary. At 3:41 p.m., she showered. At 4:30, she picked up the kids. By 6 o'clock, we were all seated at the dinner table. Meatloaf, corn, and awkward silence. She smiled at me. She always smiled after she was with him. I wonder if she thought I looked stupid, like some tired dad with mashed potatoes on his shirt who didn't notice his whole world crumbling behind him. But I saw everything, heard everything. And tonight, she'd hear me. I waited until the kids were asleep. Tyler was out by 9:10. Emma stayed up reading. By 9:45, the house was still. Rachel was watching Netflix in bed, her favorite wine on the nightstand, completely relaxed. Too relaxed. I stood at the foot of the bed and quietly said, "Pause it." She looked at me. Something in my voice, calm but firm, made her sit up straighter. "What is it?" she asked, remote still in hand. "Pause it," I said again. She did. I pulled out the small USB drive from my pocket and handed it to her. "What's this?" "Play it." She walked over to her laptop, plugged it in, clicked the file. The video began, muted at first, just grainy footage of her, opening the front door, letting Trevor in. She froze. I didn't say a word. She kept watching. Living room, bedroom, laughter, kissing, clothes coming off. Then the audio started. "He's gone?" "Whole weekend," she whispered. "We've got time this time." Her hand flew to the laptop like she could somehow stop the whole thing from existing. "What the hell is this?" she snapped. "Truth," I said, unfiltered. She stood, face pale, shoulders twitching like she couldn't decide whether to cry or run. "You were spying on me? In my house?" "You're damn right I was." She stared at me like she didn't recognize me. And for the first time, I didn't recognize her either. "This wasn't," she started but couldn't finish. "Wasn't what? A mistake? A one-time thing?" "I have 3 weeks of footage, Rachel." She slumped back down. I watched her crumble, piece by piece. She tried to cry, but I'd seen real tears before. These weren't it. "I didn't mean for it to get this far," she whispered. "I was lonely. I didn't think you cared anymore. You were always working, always tired. So you called him, your ex, and brought him into the house we built? The home where our children sleep?" She covered her mouth, not from guilt, from being caught. I handed her a manila envelope, divorce papers, pre-signed. "I already spoke to a lawyer. You'll get the house. I'm taking the kids. You can explain this to your sister or your mother or whoever the hell you're going to end up crying to. She blinked. Wait, you're taking the kids? Yes, because you brought a man into our home while they were here, because my son saw you, and because I have it all recorded. There was nothing left to say. She tried to reach for my hand. I pulled back. She cried then, real tears this time. But it was too late, too much broken, too much exposed. The worst part isn't the betrayal. It's watching the people you love have to carry the weight of someone else's lies. Rachel moved out 2 days later. She stayed with her sister. At least that's what she said. I didn't care enough to verify. Trevor was gone too, blocked on everything. But I knew better. They always come back to each other. Maybe that's what they were always meant to be. Broken people clinging to something familiar. But that chapter? It was over for me. The kids noticed right away. I sat them down in the living room. Just me and them. I didn't tell them every detail. They didn't need to know. Mom and I aren't going to live together anymore, I said. Emma looked at me with those wide, smart eyes. Because of the man in the jacket? I froze. Tyler just hugged me. They knew. They saw more than I thought. Heard more than I realized. Kids always do. Over the next few weeks, I tried to keep things as normal as possible. School, lunches, soccer practice. I filled the silence with music and games. We watched old movies, took long walks with the dog, but the weight was always there. Late at night, I'd hear Emma crying softly in her room. Tyler started sleeping with the lights on again. It wasn't just a divorce. It was the shattering of stability, the destruction of something sacred. Rachel tried to call, once, maybe twice. I ignored both. She sent a letter, handwritten, apologizing, blaming herself, saying she missed the kids, asking to talk. I kept the letter in a drawer. Never opened it. Months passed. One evening after dinner, Tyler asked, "Are you going to love someone else now?" It hit me hard. I looked at him and said, "Someday, but not right now." He nodded like he understood, and I think he did, because what I really meant was, I'm learning to love myself again first. I took down the cameras eventually, deleted the footage, burned the USB, not because I forgave her, but because I refused to let her live in my walls. That house wasn't about pain anymore. It was about recovery. People always think betrayal ends with the affair. It doesn't. It ends when you stop looking backward. It ends when the person who broke you realizes you didn't break, you rebuilt without them.